everybody, it's Kelly with Kellyscards.ca and I'm so glad you could join me. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial for our challenge blog over at Stamps Plus Fun Equal Creativity. This week's challenge is using your favorite colors. I have picked out a white card base, some blue paper, and I'm going to be also using some purples in here. To start out, I'll just move my card base off to the side. I've picked this blue piece of paper. Now I find this very plain, so what I've done is I've picked out some purple ink and I'm going to be using this one right here, Seedless Preserves, and I'm going to be inking up my stamp here. This is a My Favorite Thing background grid stamp. This is quite a large stamp. As you can see, you can fit a A2 size card both ways on this stamp. These are excellent stamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink up this stamp. And now that I've got lots of ink on there, I'm going to lay this nice and flat, and then I'm going to stamp this grid right onto the paper. So I've just got an extra piece of paper here. I'm just going to use my fingers to rub the entire stamp onto my little blue mat there. All you need is your hands. You don't need any special tools. And when I take this off, I will get my stamped image. So here is what this now looks like. It just adds a little bit more interest to the card. I love the color, but it was kind of plain for me. So what I've done is I've just inked the background just to help add some interest. For the layout in this card, I picked a circle die cut, and I have already die cut this butterfly. This is a Simon Says stamp butterfly die, and I've just die cut this out of some purple paper, and this is going to go inside this circle. So what I did was I went to my circle dies and I picked out the one that was going to give me some space within the card for the butterfly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape this down and run this through my die cutter. I've die cut that, and I'm just going to pull this piece. I've got the die cut off, and now this is going to sit here on the card, and then of course the butterfly will be in the spotlight in the circle. And then to add some interest here, what I've done is I've picked some purple paper. This is just a piece of pattern paper from an old scrapbook line by Bo Bunny. I picked out this Celebrate stamp from this Paper Smooches set, and I really like these simple sentiments. You can use whatever type of sentiment you want, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up nice and straight onto my paper. And when I close the door of the MISTI, now this will pick up the stamp and I won't have to move anything. All I'll have to do is ink this up. Before I emboss, I'm just going to take my little embossing buddy and I'm just going to rub some of the powder on here to get rid of the static. And now I'm going to bring in, this is new to me, this is a Simon Says stamp, clear embossing and watermark ink. Most people use Versamark. They just brought this out and a lot of people said it's really good, so I thought I would try it out. My Versamark pad needs replacing, so I bought this. And now I'm just going to close this door and press this on, and when I open it up, this will have our stamped image on. I picked out some Zing white embossing powder. This is how I store all my embossing powders, in these little Ziploc containers. They usually hold one embossing powder package, and then what I'll just do is I'll label it on the bottom what it is, and then I'll also be able to store it this way so I can see it. And I just like to store it this way because this really helps pick things out really fast. So just for ease, what I've done is I've put it in these little containers, so I can just take this spoon and sprinkle over my embossing powder. There's little cleanup. It goes right back in. We'll just tap the extra off here, and there we go. Now I've closed this up and put it away. There's going to be no mess. I really like that way of storing it. So even though I use the anti-static powder bag, I still have a few little pieces of white embossing powder that I need to get rid of. One of my favorite little tips is to use a really tiny brush. You can get these at any art stores. You don't have to buy expensive ones, just really little ones. And then when you're trying to get rid of your little pieces of embossing powder off of your projects ready to emboss, it's just way easier to use than anything else. And now that I've done that, everything looks good and I'm ready to emboss. And I'm just going to put my pieces in here now so we can see how it's all coming together. And I really like how bold the white embossing is on this little strip. It's really going to help it stand out. I'm going to just cut this strip down now because I feel that it's a little bit too big for the area of our card. So I'll just bring my trimmer in, and all I'm going to do is trim off a little bit off each side. Now that seems to fit better on the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to round these corners. I'm just going to use my little corner rounder here. And I just think that I will like the look of this card if it's rounded a bit more. And I really like that rounded edge on the rectangular base. I like the look of that. So we're going to leave it like that, and our butterfly is going to go there. This is going to come in here. I may think about rounding the sentiment as well. For some accents, what I've decided is to use this die. This is the Simon Says Stamp Stitched Heart. I've just laid this over the same paper as I've made our sentiment on, and I've just popped out some of these hearts. So I've got some of these hearts, and I've done that for this blue paper and this purple paper. You can not only use this part, but if you look really close, you can see the little stitching around the hearts. And of course this one I cut off because I just put the die like this. But this makes a beautiful collage, and again, it looks very much like that. This is such a cool die. So now that I've got my little hearts, I'm going to just arrange them. So I've just put out these die cuts balancing around the card. I really like how it looks. I also would like another couple accents. So what I've done is I've taken some clear bling, and what I've done is I've just taken my Copic marker and I've just colored it this purple color, and I think that will look great in the corner here of the card. I might put it there, or I also might put it down there. I haven't decided yet. And then for the middle of the butterfly, I'm going to do the opposite color with the blue in the center. So to start out, what I'm going to do is start putting this card together. I'm going to put this piece down now. Like this. Now you can also pop this up. If you put foam tape around here, this will really make this card dimensional. That is also an idea. And I'm just going to lay this nice and flat. And I just like this circle in here to help this butterfly pop out. I'm just going to use a Zot to attach the butterfly, and I like to attach the butterfly this way. It just gives it a little bit more wiggle room. Maybe we will put it like that. After some fiddling, I think I like it there the best. And then I'll bring this in. Now I really think at this point I want to round at least this corner. So I'm going to round that corner and see, and I think, you know what, we're going to round this one as well. Now that I've rounded those two corners, I just like how that looks. It's not all rounded on all four sides. It's just something kind of unique. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pop this up on pop dots. And I'm going to bring this in here. And I'll put that down. So I just want to figure out where is the best place to put them. They don't all have to be on here. I've put these hearts. I've decided I'm just going to do 3 of them. And I want to pop these up just to add some interest and dimension. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little piece of foam tape on the back of each heart. And it will just pop them up a little bit. It will look a little nicer than if I adhered them flat. Now for the last heart, And there, that looks good. Now looking at this butterfly, I think it's really flat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to peel it off of here, and I'm going to put on a pop dot to this butterfly as well. And I'm just going to cut this in half. Just think the butterfly needs to be a little bit higher up off the card. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these blue bling. I'm just going to put this right in the center. Like that, and that's what I have so far. Now that I've done that, I'm going to bring in these 3 little bling, and again all I did was use a Copic marker and to add that color to very simple clear bling, and I just love how that adds a little bit extra something. In my latest haul I bought some of these Nouveau drops, crystal drops, and I was really thinking of maybe doing something a little bit more on the sentiment strip with these drops. Now this is the white. For this I like to just do a few practice runs right before I do it on my actual project so that I kind of get the feel of how to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 5 little dots. And I think that looks great. It really adds so much to the card. And I'm just going to flick the back of the card like this just to make sure those little drops pull into a round ball, and that will help it look better. So that finishes up the card. I really like this card, just great stamping on plain paper. Not too much, but just adding a little bit of detail. Some really nice dark colors of the purple and the blues working together. The little accents of the die cut hearts and the beautiful butterfly. And again, using the pop-up dies just to create a little dimension on this card. And again, I really like these little crystal drops. They come in a variety of colors, and look how much that adds to the card. So I just want to thank you for joining me. So please check out the other design team members' cards at Stamps Plus Fun Equal Creativity. You can check me out at my webpage at Kellyscards.ca. Please subscribe for more videos, and thank you so much for joining me.